How do you define yourself? More specifically, which groups would you say you belong to? I'm not just talking about Facebook or Discord groups. I'm talking about the groups you contact with on a daily basis, the ones you feel like you belong to. You may identify as a Temple University student. We may identify as members of your close family or even as Catholics. Every group you belong to has an opposing group. There is another group out there. These are individuals who do not identify in the same way. You might refer to them as the others. Students who attend other colleges, hail from different families, or follow different beliefs. These groups, and particularly the wars between them, have molded human history. So why are we so committed to the groups to which we belong? And why does identification with one group always result in conflict with another? Many social psychologists, including Henry Tadful, have dedicated their lives to figuring out the answers to these two issues. In the late 1970s, Tadful and his team undertook a series of research that resulted in the development of the social identity theory. And this video is all about social identity theory and how it influences the decisions that individuals and organizations make. Hey everyone, it's Knowle, your gateway to understanding human behavior and emotions. Join us for fascinating insights. Hit subscribe for a part of our journey through the exciting field of psychology. As individuals, we typically progress through 3 stages and form groups, which eventually evolve into the us versus them attitude that has molded the story of human history. The 3 processes are categorization, identification, and comparison, and I'll go over each one. The first level of social identity theory is classification. You cannot belong to a group unless you are aware of its existence, which we do by observing our surroundings. It happens all the time, generally without you even realizing it. It does not take long to notice that people are separated into many groups. All you need to do is walk into a school cafeteria or listen to the news. Groups are classified according to their religion, nationality, physical abilities, and so forth. I could be here till tomorrow coming up with ways humans have classified other humans. Essentially, these are traits that distinguish people, and a lot of how you define them is determined by how you were raised and where you grew up. Second, make an identification. When you begin to organize the world into separate groups, it is time to look inward. How do you identify? And there are numerous ways to answer this question. You can identify as a male, female, or non-binary individual. You may identify as a Catholic, Muslim, or Scientologist. You may identify as straight, lesbian, or pansexual. Alternatively, you can identify as none of these things. When it comes to psychology, what you identify with is virtually endless. In truth, Maslow's hierarchy of needs remains an important paradigm for understanding human behavior and what drives people to make decisions. And at the bottom of this hierarchy, the most fundamental level, there is something known as basic requirements. Before we can explore the world at large, we must feel comfortable and know where our next food will come from. And after these basic wants are met, we seek love and belonging. And we can obtain this affection and belonging just by associating with particular groups. This urge for belonging may impact how we shape ourselves to fit into that community. For example, perhaps you join a fraternity and begin wearing its letters around school. Or perhaps you become a young professional and update your clothes to match the other professionals at your workplace. A person's desire to fit in with a specific group might impact their hairstyles, fashion trends, and even where they live. Even the way we wear our hair or drive our cars indicates that we belong to a specific group. For example, I drive a Mustang, and there are a lot of individuals out there who don't drive Mustangs but constantly criticize them. But having traveled extensively, I've discovered that other Mustang owners form strong bonds with one another. For example, when we convey our identity to members in that group, we are validated and experience a necessary sense of love and belonging. For example, one of my buddies recently got a nose ring, something I wouldn't expect from him. Anyway, we went to a sensory deprivation tank, which I strongly recommend, and the cashier instantly complimented him on it. At first, I thought it was incredible how quickly they connected. They held a 20-minute talk in the foyer, but then I saw the cashier also wore a nose ring, and they were in the same gang. In summary, they identified with their nose rings, which brought them closer together. So, after categorization and identification follows comparison. So, why do we receive this form of validation by making our identities more obvious? It's because the final stage of the social identity theory is comparison, which is when the us against them mentality begins to emerge. One of Henry Taffel's tests on the social identity theory requested participants to compare and evaluate persons from various groups, and they were assigned a group to identify with during the experiment. Taffel's team encouraged participants to award points to other participants, and while the groups were random, they weren't organized in any meaningful way. Participants were more likely to award points to members of their group, which reflects how we compare ourselves and others to outsiders. It is in our instinct to compare and categorize. According to Yuval Noah Harari, author of one of the great books, Sapiens, Homo sapiens developed to think of humans as us and them. Us was the group closest to you, whatever you were, and them was everyone else. Early humans were not motivated by identity politics. Rather, they were motivated by limited resources such as food, water, and shelter. They may believe that members in their own group will share the riches and provide for those in their own group, but allowing them access to these restricted resources could jeopardize our entire group's survival. This mindset could explain why participants in Taffel's experiments were more willing to award points to persons from their own group. And the story is all too familiar. As I near the end of this video, I'd like to emphasize that there is much more to learn and explore with social identity theory. After all, not everyone who belongs to a group wants or chooses to be associated with that group. For example, being labeled as a convict or felon might be difficult to overcome. But I believe that is a topic for another video. Within these groupings, persons can move up or down the ranks and be classified into even smaller groups. So keep learning, listening, and researching different aspects of psychology that may bring additional insight into the concepts of identity and belonging. I hope you've learned a little bit about social identity theory. As we conclude, I'd like to thank you for watching. I hope you found value in this video and learned something new, and I look forward to seeing you in our future videos. I would deeply value it if you could like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support will help us to create more valuable content. What are the key takeaways from this video that you can share in the comment section?